Let us now reveal the secrets about sex. How long can you resist your temptation and desire? In the middle of sex, it might be hard to let our reasoning and rational mind take control when feeling the intense and extreme pleasure of sex. We might become clouded and focus on how good sex feels. That is why we will now be dealing with 5 Stoics' wisdom on how we can improve our self-control, discipline, and moderation. Embrace yourself, and let us now begin. The soul does violence to itself when it is overpowered by pleasure or by pain. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius talks about how sometimes, when we're having sex, the good feelings or the bad feelings can be really strong, and they can make us do things we might not want to do. For example, when we're having sex, it can feel so good that we might agree to do something we're not comfortable with, just because the pleasure in the moment is so strong. It's like eating too much cake because it tastes so good, even though it's bad for us. On the other hand, if we've had bad experiences with sex in the past, like being hurt or feeling really unhappy, those past traumas can make us avoid sex altogether, even if we actually want a healthy and happy sex life now. So what Marcus Aurelius is suggesting is finding a balance. Don't let the super good or super bad feelings in sex make you do things that go against what you really want or believe in. Instead, try to make choices about sex that match with what you truly desire, even when those strong feelings are there. This way, we can have a satisfying and enjoyable sex life that reflects our own wants and values. If one oversteps the bounds of moderation, the greatest pleasures cease to please. Epictetus. Epictetus basically tells us that when we go too far and get too carried away in seeking pleasure, even the things we enjoy the most can become less enjoyable. This also applies to sex. For example, when we have simple, loving, and emotionally connected sex, it can be really nice and satisfying. But if we always want more extreme or risky sexual experiences, the simple, meaningful moments may not make us as happy anymore. The idea here is that it's important for us to have a harmonization and not always want things to be more and more intense, especially in sex. If we're always chasing extreme experiences, the everyday, regular moments of intimacy can lose their charm or thrill. So, the message is to appreciate the simple pleasures that come with a loving, gentle, and smooth approach to sex, instead of constantly trying to make it more extreme. Let the part of thy soul which leads and governs be undisturbed by the movements in the flesh, whether of pleasure or of pain, and let it not unite with them, but let it circumscribe itself and limit those effects to their parts. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism is a philosophy that teaches us to keep our inner selves calm and in control, even when we feel strong physical sensations like pleasure or pain. When it comes to sex and intimate experiences, this idea is very important. It means we shouldn't let the immediate physical feelings of pleasure or discomfort make all our decisions. Instead, we should use our rational mind to guide us. In sex, this means we shouldn't let strong physical pleasure make us do things without pondering. We should be like a steady hand that makes sure we are safe and that our actions match our values and principles. Marcus Aurelius stressed how important it is to have a clear mind during sexual encounters. This means our inner self, our mind, should be in charge, not our immediate physical feelings. It encourages us to make choices that are good for us in the long run, instead of just doing things because they feel good right now. Thus, this teaches us to have self-control and to be mindful, especially in situations where our basic desires and immediate feelings can make us lose sight of what's really important. By following these teachings, we can approach sex and intimate experiences with wisdom, responsibility, and a sense of purpose. This doesn't just make our personal lives better, it helps us lead a more balanced and fulfilling life overall. Freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of men's desires, but by the removal of desire. Epictetus. True freedom doesn't come from getting everything we desire, especially when it comes to sexual desires. Instead, it comes from letting go of or reducing those desires. In sex, this quote suggests that when we chase after every sexual desire without restraint, it doesn't lead to genuine freedom or contentment. Instead, we might find ourselves becoming enslaved by our desires. It's like always craving more and more, which can lead to dissatisfaction and a sense of being controlled by our sexual impulses. True freedom, as Epictetus indicates, comes when we learn to manage and reduce our desires. This doesn't mean we should deny ourselves sexual pleasure or intimacy, but rather that we should strive for balance and self-control. By being selective and mindful about our sexual desires, we gain a sense of freedom. We're not constantly driven by every impulse, but instead, we have the ability to make choices that harmonize with our emotional well-being and long-term satisfaction. This opens the idea that being truly free in our sexual lives doesn't mean giving in to every desire without reflecting. It's about understanding and managing our desires so we don't become slaves to them. It is in your power to withdraw yourself whenever you desire. Perfect tranquility within consists in the good ordering of the mind, the realm of your own. Marcus Aurelius. We have the power to choose not to act on sudden sexual urges or desires whenever we want. By doing this, we can experience a sense of calm and tranquility, even in the middle of sexual situations. It's like having a remote control for our feelings. We can decide when to press the pause button on strong sexual desires and make thoughtful decisions instead of just reacting impulsively. This self-control is what enables us to stay relaxed and balanced during sexual experiences. It teaches us that we can always be the leader of our own minds, even when we're feeling sexual desire. These are basic but really important parts of having a healthy sex life. By getting better at these smaller things, we learn how to be disciplined and respectful in our sexual experiences. Once we get the hang of these smaller choices, we can use the same skills when we face bigger decisions about sex. Remember, it's okay to say no and withdraw ourselves from impulsive desires that feel uncomfortable. In our daily lives, we often face situations where we're tempted by strong desires or immediate pleasures. Sex is one of those areas where our desires and sensations can be quite powerful. As we wrap up our discussion, we want you to keep looking for the right balance and the smart ideas Stoicism gives us for your own sexual or any personal experiences. Remember, when we understand and control our desires, it can make our life happier and more enlightened. We want to leave you with a powerful quote: sex should be a perfect balance of pain and pleasure. Without that symmetry, sex becomes a routine rather than an indulgence. From Marquis de Sade. After all, in Stoicism, having sex is about finding a middle ground in our lives. It tells us how important it is not to let strong feelings or sudden actions take over, especially when we really want something or feel a strong sensation. Thanks for being part of this journey. We believe you've gained another wisdom by watching today's video. This is once again powerful quote, and we wish you all the best in finding a better connection between what you want and what makes sense. See you again soon. Goodbye.